What is a subquery? A subquery is a query embedded or nested inside a query. Why do we use it? It is used for flexibility. The result of the subquery is used by the main query. There are three types of subqueries. A table subquery returns a table which consists of multiple rows and columns, and this table is used by the main query. A row subquery returns a single row. It can contain more than one column, but exactly one row. It is usually used to compare or match columns from this subquery to the columns in the main query. And finally, Scalar Subquery, which returns a single value, which is then used by the main query. We already saw examples of table subqueries in the previous videos. So in this video, we'll talk about a row subquery and Scalar Subquery. List the vendors and the count of products they sell. So this problem can be solved using a Scalar Subquery. I'm selecting two columns, vendor's name and a subquery. This subquery is using an aggregate function called count star. What does it count? It counts the total number of rows in the product vendors table that meets a condition. The condition is the vendor ID of the products vendors table should be equal to vendor ID of the vendors table. I'm selecting these from the vendors table. So overall what it does is, for each row in the vendors table, the subquery counts the number of rows in the product vendors table, where the vendor ID of the product vendors table is equal to vendor ID of the vendors table. And finally, I'm ordering it by vendors product count. As you can see, this vendor product count is the alias name I gave to the subquery. If we run it, we could see all the vendors with the vendors product count in descending order. Let's look at another question. Get the details of the most recent order placed by customer 1005. We can solve this problem using a row subquery. So we'll be using orders table O, order details table OD, and products table P for this query. So I'm selecting all the required columns, the customer ID, order number, order date, product name, and quantity ordered. Now, since these are from different tables, I'm using inner joins to connect all these tables together. So now I'm using a filter to get the most recent order placed by customer 1005. So where customer ID and order date, this is a combination. This I should fetch it from this table. So I'm using a subquery here, select customer ID, order date from orders, where customer ID is 1005, order by order date in descending order, and limit it to 1. So when I use limit 1, I'll get only one row, because a row subquery requires only one row, which contains the customer ID 1005, and since I use descending order for order date, I'll get the most recent order date. Both of them are used in this main query. So if we run this, we'll get all the details of the recent order placed by customer 1005. That's how we could use a row subquery and a scalar subquery to solve different problems in SQL. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.